Welcome to Don't Eat the Cashier. This game was recommended to me by my friend Mona of Lucius, who I will link in the Discord. I don't really know much about it besides that it is kind of like a romance. I want to say horror, but more of like supernatural. That's the word I'm looking for. It's like a supernatural romance. There will be a couple of content warnings from the game developer in the description, so go ahead and check those out first just to be safe. Let's get started. Well, there we go. We'll go with mine. Okay, just click through. One, sure. Click. Oh. Easy. Sometimes I really wonder, how did I end up here? Not that I dreamed of a career as a neurosurgeon or an astronaut, but for crying out loud, working at a gas station? On the other hand, money is money. I sent out resumes to every conceivable and inconceivable place, applying for every position where I could somehow use my degree in art. 0 responses. Oof, I know that, except my degree's in business. I had to swallow my pride and find at least something. I found this note stuck to the glass at the bus stop. Human organisms wanted for work at gas stations. Organism duties include selling food for mouth, silence and obedience, household tasks, obeying those who are more ancient, friendly team offers, new and old faces of friends, long and different life, consumption, goodness, my brain, consumption of nourishment, juicy juices, trips to human places. Food for mouth. Seriously? This guy's got his own... Oh, wait, I mislooked back. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. Food for mouth. Seriously? This guy's got a style of his own. Apparently, the manager is just an eccentric dude, or this is just their new marketing tactic to grab attention. Whatever. People often told me that I have my quirks, too. And that's even if they haven't seen my fursuit. Hell yeah. Well, whatever. As long as he's not a complete jerk who will hit me or make me scrub the floors with a toothbrush. Okay then. I didn't scream. I couldn't move. My brain feverishly tried to find any category for this thing in its database. Hallucination, psychosis, too many energy drinks? Okay, that one called me out. I'm literally drinking my second one of the day right now. Typical middle manager. The monster from my nightmares stirred. Its tentacles crept closer to the counter. My god. The creature made a sound, not from its mouth. It had none. The sound emanated from deep within its bulk, hollow, profound, bone-shaking. Okay, hollow and profound. Greetings, organism. I'm Bob, the indescribable and terrifying consumer of worlds. But you, grain of sand, may call me Manager Bob. No. This isn't real. I'm dreaming. I need to wake up. You will sell food for mouths and obey me, for I am ancient. Memorize the rules of this establishment, for my patience is as limited as the salary I offer you. Rule number 1, you sell, no matter what. Chicken food for the mouth, gremlin fuel, noodles made from cursed souls, lottery tickets for extra limb raffles, discount rot, ritual foil, everything must be sold. He points directly at me with that creepy, slimy tentacle. Every miserable unit of currency brings me closer to my triumph exit from this pitiful hole. I pinched myself, but didn't wake up. Rule number 2, be polite to customers, ignore bald spots and werewolf fur, and watch out for drafts when electroplasmic energy entities are in the store. What? But don't let them get too bold. Customers are just walking containers for currency, and they should only pay in monetary units. Payment in existential dread or the hair of the dead is not accepted. Many of them come here just to chat because they are idle and purposeless organisms. Your task is to make them part with their currency anyway. It is also your duty to heal organisms if they are injured using special kits. If they die, they can't give away currency. Okay. We're not gonna scream. Hold back. Excuse me, dear sir, you seem to have mentioned werewolves and ectoplasm? My voice is as polite as possible. I managed to compress my primal screaming panic into a tight ball and shove it deep down. Werewolves? And that's not to mention you yourself are a giant meatball with tentacles, damn you. I shall answer your question, curious, polite organism. Werewolves and ectoplasmic entities are just a few examples of the many insignificant life forms that frequent this establishment. What unites them is they are all slaves to consumption, just like your kind. Fuck, I mean, ain't that the truth? Oh, hey look, it's Mona. Or, I guess, Mona with a beard. As for my nature, I am your immediate supervisor and the guarantor of your future financial prosperity. I'm at a gas station for monsters. I got a job with Cthulhu for minimum wage. This is all you need to know. That really is all I need to know. I fear any more knowledge will surely drive me insane. For the first time, something resembling approval flickers across Bob's many-eyed face. A rare and unexpected display of the grains of wisdom that have not yet left the human species. Embrace your ignorance. Let it become your shield and direct path to the status of Human Employee of the Month. And what does the Human Employee of the Month get? A cash bonus of 25 cents. I understand that you, human, are already extremely excited about this, but that's not all. You will also have access to the Elite Manager's restroom for one full work cycle. During its use, there's only a 7% chance that you will be transported to a dimension of endless pain, suffering, and unimaginable torment. Huh, so Oklahoma. Truly generous. He suddenly places a jar in front of me on the counter. And the last rule, remember, organism. This tip container must be filled with money by the end of your wake cycle. If the bottom of the jar is visible, you will clean the sanitary rooms with this object in the dimension of absolute horrors and suffering for 2,510 years. I couldn't take my eyes off the fork, the potential tool of my eternal servitude. At this moment, my mind fully capitulated. Yes, I was hired by a multi-eyed cosmic architect squid. Yes, my clients will be non-humans. Yes, I'm being threatened with a fork and internal toilet cleaning. How could anyone clean anything with a fork? The same will happen if you think of escaping before the end of your work contract. My ocular sensorium perceives the subtlest of matters. It will detect you in any corner of this pitiful planetary sphere. Crap. I'm stuck here. I'm in a trap. Do you understand, organism? No way. Yes, sir. Acceptable. Goodbye, organism. Good luck in your currency acquisition and button pressing. I think I can handle this perfectly. Adequate. Your willingness to fulfill your work duties deserves my emotional approval. Human entity, you are acceptable. If you expect a monetary reward instead of an emotional one, you need to immediately reconsider your moral compass. Greed is a highly condemned trait for human organisms. This concludes the briefing. Remain as polite as an organism as you are. He didn't turn around as a human would. His tentacles simply shifted his entire mass in another direction with a soft gurgling sound, and he'd waddled across the linoleum. Finally, he left me alone. The silence at the gas station was broken only by the hum of refrigerators containing juicy juices and the buzzing of the neon lamp above my head. I stood in the same spot as if rooted to the ground, my breath returning to me in a sharp, uneven grasp. My hands were shaking. The tip jar, which I needed to fill to avoid ending up in a dimension of ancient horrors, still stood proudly on the counter. Okay, so what just happened? Option 1, I've gone insane. That's the most logical conclusion. Prolonged stress from job hunting, malnutrition, nerves, anxiety, a disrupted sleep schedule. My brain just malfunctioned. Yes, that's it. I'm going to wake up on my couch in my dingy rented apartment. I pinched myself again, and nothing. I scanned the room once more. It smelled of gasoline and old coffee. It was still absurdly real. And that meant everything he said. It was all true. Werewolves, vampires, tips, the fork. A hysterical mix of laughter and a scream of terror welled up in my throat, but I held it back. I needed to get through this. I needed to. Oh no. Don't tell me that's the first customer. Bells? What the hell? Shit. Where the hell did this clown come from? It took great effort not to look away from those red eyes burning in the pitch darkness. Is he amused? Is he wondering if I'm tasty? Bob didn't exactly give me any guarantees I wouldn't be devoured at work. My brain, still recovering from the encounter with Bob, was frantically trying to figure out how to break this ringing silence. No. You can't just appear with the sound of a creepy piano. Isn't it strange that I work at a gas station for a couple of bucks? You're the one that wears the jester's hat? That's not polite. Good evening, sir. We're probably not gonna do any of the capital letters one, because we're gonna try to be polite. Good evening, sir. Would you like to purchase? Purchase? I would like to purchase your attention. Let's see. I suppose it's free, sort of included in the service package. I suppose it's free, make a wink, but only for you, sir. Let's see, my attention is on sale today. Let's just say it's on sale today. Ah, a bargain. But is it wise to put your best merchandise on discount? Anyway, I adore good bargains, especially when they are absolutely unfair. In truly a fair world, my dear soul, you'd be worth more than $6 an hour. Oh my fucking god, that's how much I'm getting paid? Can a mere piece of paper reflect your uniqueness? Can even 6 of them? Not even 20 could. And I wouldn't mind 20 extra pieces of measly paper. My god, another crazy person with a strange way of speaking. And it seems he's in the mood for a chat. So, what is a beautiful, charming soul like you doing in such a dreadful, dirty island of misfortune? Or rather, what is a place like this doing with such a charming soul as you? Oh wait, where are my manners? I suppose I must introduce myself. I have many names, most of which are not fit to be spoken in the company of a lovely, noble soul. The nicest I've heard is the Mad King. A title I plan to pass from me to myself for the coming centuries. However, my mortal mother named me Dirian? Dirian. Now, may I have your hand? Let's see. Oof. Let's not give him our hand. Why not? You only live once. He suddenly bows his head and presses his lips to my knuckles. Dirian, meeting you... Why'd I read his name? Meeting you is truly a pleasure. His lips are cold, yet a ghostly warmth spreads across my skin. So here I am, dealing with a real gentleman, how lovely, or a king as he calls himself. Of all the kings and emperors locked in their soft chambers, this one has probably found a way to escape. May I know your name? I don't immediately realize he's asking me a question, still in a daze from that gentlemanly kiss. Let's see. I mean, this is the real answer, is to not reveal my name. Let's just give him it. My dear Nacho, you are so polite. He seems to savor my name. It sends shivers down my spine. And that politeness again, as dry and bland as the rations I give my soldiers, the most creaky of all the decrees I've signed. And I've signed decrees that required people to weave ropes from sand, just for fun, mostly mine. Polite people never risk anything. No friends, no enemies. How is that interesting? Imagine how wonderful it would be if we became enemies. Those would be most interesting few seconds of your life. or friends, then it would be a delightful eternity. Let's see. No, I'm not feeling this dude. Offer him a friendly pinky finger? Whatever, yeah. Is this a friendship custom, I suppose? How charming. And fortunate that I have a pinky too. He extends his hand. The creature and I seal our friendship pact with our pinkies. He seemed pleased and doesn't plan to turn me into a toad or something like that. I feel my brain is turning to jelly. I don't understand when we get to... And actually, it's not all that bad. Maybe I've just been spoiled by all those mangas about sinister and tragic monsters. Though the only tragic thing about this client so far is his tragic unwillingness to buy my discount rot. So, let's finally get to the purpose of my visit. Finally? It's completely unknown to me. Oh, for crying out loud. There's nothing interesting in the assortment of this pathetic shack except for you, so I'm buying your time. Let's have dinner. I'm sure you must be hungry. Oh no. Allow me to create a more pleasant atmosphere for us. I'm shivering from the gust of icy wind. He just teleported half the gas station to a radioactive dump. Or a radioactive dump to my gas station. And the jar is gone. My freaking jar. Let's see. Nope, no caps. Looks like my rental apartment, but smells less. My dear, I suspect your life hasn't been easy, but was it really that bad? Don't worry, I won't abandon a liege in distress. Just say the word and I'll relocate you to one of these incredibly cozy dwellings. I'm sure the local cockroaches won't mind, and together you can fully enjoy the scent of atomic decay. However, I can't go long without familiar landscapes. Already ruined lands make me melancholic, because all the fun has happened without me. Disgusting. Allow me. This is something seemingly less radioactive. Although I haven't thrown up yet, it feels like I've been flushed twice through an interdimensional toilet. I clear my throat. Seems like I'm sitting at a table. Much better, wouldn't you agree? Couldn't be better. It's beautiful here, and strange. Is this your home? Words of a true poet, Nacho. My favorite categories, strange and beautiful. This place is much more than a home. It's my cage and my greatest canvas for creativity. Every ugly tree, every mad toad, every eye-bearing mushroom, it's all a piece of me, and a marvelous place. A marvelous place, except for when the rocks grow legs and start running. That is an angry toad. Including those that people make their homes out of. And now you're part of this place too, isn't it wonderful? I'm slowly getting used to the landscape. The fireflies here are quite charming, but it'd be better without that frog with a human face. The frog notices me too. It lets out a sad croak, then looks at me with an expression of deep existential despair. Let's not mention the frog. Darian seems to notice my discomfort anyways. His gaze follows mine until it too lands on the strange frog. Seems you've noticed my pal L'Oreal. Yes, I see him, and he sees me. That's L'Oreal, one of the brave souls who dared to challenge my authority, my dear friend who once walked the path of adventure. However, he didn't foresee the possibility of being turned into a frog on a whim. He even tried to wield a sword with his tiny froggy legs, fought to the end. A true warrior. Now, however, his foes are mosquitoes and bigger frogs. Tell me, dear, does he bother you? His little existential froggy crisis, I mean. Is it ruining the ambiance? He looks at me with an interested expression. I don't want to make... Yes, please disintegrate him. Let's see... I don't mind L'Oreal. You don't mind? Excellent. I think he really sets the tone for the whole clearing, aesthetically. A living document to the consequences of poor life choices. L'Oreal. Oh, I'm saying L'Oreal. It's Lori. Lori. Goodness, I've been fucking it up the whole time. Lori, did you hear that? The noble grants you a stay of execution. You may continue your pitiful, mosquito-infested existence. So dinner, I'm sure you must be starving. Traveling between realities must be exhausting. This looks strange, but it smells delicious. Meat with honey, and next to the meat, a purpley soup, possibly made from a less fortunate cashier. Whether the food is poisoned or not, if I refuse, His Highness might turn me into a frog too. So I pick a fork from the table. And this is the most delicious thing I've ever tasted. It's 100 times better than the cheap instant noodles I usually buy in supermarkets. Even the fact I'm currently in some other universe surprisingly doesn't seem to harm my appetite. It seems you enjoy our cuisine. My chefs have always managed to cook well. On these other occasions, when I notice it, I assure you, you won't regret this dinner, at least not for the first half after the meal. First half hour, I think. Let's see. Thank you. You're very kind. I'm merely hospitable. I'm delighted to share a meal with a dear guest who clearly appreciates good food. But I suppose cheap Chinese noodles would make you appreciate anything. Please eat your fill. And don't hesitate to stash what you don't eat in your pockets. It'll give you an exquisite aroma and provide a few interesting mysterious stains. I poke at the food with my fork and watch the peculiar scenery from the corner of my eye. A silence hangs between us that might even be called cozy, if I were under heavy narcotics. What's your favorite animal? Glad you asked. It's right here on our plate. Just kidding, but I do need some time to think. Let's see. The riding flea has its own charms, very disgusting ones. Carnivorous butterflies are beautiful, but they're dumb and noisy, and as we know, only what's empty inside makes a noise. What's in my head? It's always ringing. I think it's a dog. It loves its owner with all its heart, whether they're a saint or a serial killer, and it doesn't notice the difference. It lives in a constant, joyful state of blissful ignorance and misplaced enthusiasm. A creature that finds endless joy in utter meaninglessness. It's truly inspiring. Dogs are the jesters of the animal world, and I adore them for it. Especially the small, wrinkly ones. What about you? Cats to them, we're probably the jesters. Oh, indeed, they are the true rulers of this reality. Tiny, furry gods of apathy and disdain, and we are their obedient, foolish caretakers. But I've been lucky enough to escape their tyranny and instead enjoy my own, and feed those around me. I return to my meal, and just as I chew another bite, I hear His Highness's voice. By the way, how does the meat taste? Is the human flesh tender enough? My fork freezes halfway. Be polite. Vomit. Be polite. Vomit. Vomit. I bend over and send the entire dinner onto the moss beside me, which absorbs it all without a trace. I look up at this monster with teary eyes and see a satisfied grin. Ha! My dear, your expression is priceless. You're so trusting. I apologize, I couldn't resist such a dreadful joke. It's just venison, as far as I can tell by the taste, not very intelligent. It's definitely not Timmy, our carpenter, who unexpectedly disappeared near the large kitchen cauldron, perfectly sized to fit in. Definitely not. I've personally issued several decrees related to cannibalism, perhaps even concerning its prohibition, but that's beside the point. I rarely have visitors, and I'd like to tell you about other interesting guests. After all, it's the most fascinating thing I can share with you. For a place where For a place where mushrooms with green, why do I keep trying to say green? For a place... I make fun of Mona for not being able to read all the time, and now I've got to keep this in so she knows. I can't either. For a place where mushrooms with I keep trying to say green eyes. For a place where mushrooms with eyes grow, it can be incredibly dull here. Shadows in the clearing thicken and stir. They detach from the gnarled trees, rising up from the ground like black ink and spread across the wall. Dancing and intertwining, they prepare to perform the arts. Prepare to perform at their master's whim. My brain just assumes words. Behold this incredibly crooked castle, my dear, crooked to the point of absurdity. Sadly, in reality, its curves look far more aesthetic. But give the creator some leeway for expressiveness. Many brave and not-so-bright souls have tried to conquer this terrifying, dark, eerie, crooked castle. So many that it became even more crooked. You see, the dreadful monster living there never liked being distracted from its important duties. Terribly important duties, like having long, deep conversations with its own reflection, or concocting recipes with raisins. Listen silently. The monster was a tyrant, a menace. He sowed chaos and disorder, mostly on purpose. I'm not doing the voice. He had countless opportunities for creativity and wasn't afraid to use them. He made some people believe they were pigeons and others that they were grains. He wouldn't allow his best servants to have windows, fearing that the moon and both suns would get envious and want to take them away, and he demanded they seal the gaps in the doors as well. He locked wizards who came to him for magical gifts in a giant laboratory and promised them power if they invented a kettle that could boil everything except water. Who won, the pigeons or the grains? My lovely liege, it wasn't a war, but rather a true paranoid masterpiece. A ballet of survival. For a glorious week, my ballroom was the stage for a feathered cooing apocalypse. Pigeons flocked into huge, proud groups, occupying high places on the chandeliers and bookshelves. Grains learned to hide under rugs, pretend to be lifeless, and attack only when the pigeons turned away. There were alliances, betrayal, and a seed that fell in love with a pigeon. Nothing topped this story that year, nor was anything worse, but I digress. But behold a ray of light in the dark kingdom, the first hero, Sir Lorry, the righteous in all his clanging, self-important glory. He took a knee to rest briefly because the weight of his righteousness was bad for his health and his poor back. Following rumors spread by the same monster, he fought his way through the monster's loyal subjects, too. By the way, where did he even find them? Most of my subjects were too busy contemplating the color of suspenders for their suspenders, or lamenting their fate. I cherished them in their imperfection. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They were probably the most restless of them. Every story needs minions. In any case, our hero descended into the Grotto of Despair. The Grotto of Tentacles? Imagine the most sinister name you can conjure. The Grotto of Despair sounds about right. Indeed, it's a place where one can so wonderfully despair. Let's not get sidetracked. Into the Grotto of Despair, our hero descended to retrieve an artifact capable of defeating the Monster King. The Ring of Incredible Power, a bit shoddily crafted, but I assure you it looks more aesthetic in real life. However, the brave knight didn't know that the incredible power of the ring lay in its 440 pounds. That was its only magical property. The only incredible thing about this ring was its incredibly stupidity and uselessness. The realization that he had spent weeks of his life on a divinely heavy paperweight, and the sudden crushing thought that he should have become a baker instead of a hero just to get some sleep. Well, it broke his poor noble mind. Not that his mind was ever intended for serious burdens. No, not the knight. Of course, poor brave knight. Your tender heart mourns for him. It's no surprise. His voice is full of condescending, feigned sympathy. So the knight perished. But then, along came Elmer Eagle Eye. They say he earned his nickname by escaping from an enemy fortress. On the third day of his captivity, he noticed that his prison cell was lacking the fourth wall. An archer of legendary skill who tried to kill me with a precise shot constantly. During breakfast, while bathing, at balls, during sleep, and even while I was devising a plan to get rid of him. The audacity. I hate just killing them. Turning them into madmen is much, much more fun. And I bestowed a little curse upon the elf as well. I made it so that every time he drew his bowstring, he'd hear the most annoying melody to his ears. Elmer was a terrible racist. He hated dwarves, so naturally the melody became the national anthem of the dwarves, played in a loop by a bagpipe orchestra. The pure rage it provoked derailed his aim every time. Eventually he stormed to the castle, dropped his bow, and begged for a job in my court in exchange to changing the song to anything else. He was desperate, and I was a villain. Everything aligned incredibly well. Now he's my royal huntsman. The dwarf march is replaced with a lively elven sea shanty, and no one dare accuse me of being callous and heartless. Now he has a salary, good food, clothing, entertainment, and a full guarantee of non-dismemberment. Dwarfs are nuts. I should have read that out. Nacho, where were you before? Horse odes and comparisons to long stalactites, endless rhymed versions about the shine of a beloved's beard. It's a refined, devilish thing. Why didn't I think of it myself? To torment a man not with sounds of war and patriotism, but with the clumsy, heartfelt caterwauling of a species he despises, turning a love song into an instrument of pure, heart-wrenching agony. Brilliant. Well, I'd steal your idea for the future. And finally, the witch. In a classic giant hat under which you could easily fit another witch, she tried a different approach. Seduction. She attempted to charm me, to gain my trust, to become my spouse, a fatal miscalculation. She didn't consider the fact that I never trusted big hats, or people, especially when both come hand in hand. And those who wear suspenders and a belt at the same time, a person who doesn't even trust their own pants certainly can't earn the trust of His Highness. Then again, I don't trust His Highness either. I don't trust myself, especially the left side of my brain, especially on Thursdays, but back to hats. Let's see. I hate big hats too. You are my kindred spirit. Those hats are so pretentious, so self-assured. They block the view, get stuck in doorways, and always hint that the wearer is compensating for something. Usually lack of magical talent, or a pitiful personality, and that's on a good day. You, my dear Nacho, have impeccable taste in headwear and consequently in everything else. It's a scientifically proven fact. Meanwhile, the witch was quite overt in her murderous intentions, jingling with all her concealed weapons. Why does a witch need so many hidden blades? She must have been very bad at witchery. In any case, she now resides in my dungeon, and you see, I haven't decided what to do with her yet. Her fate is a blank slate, a story yet to be written. So I offer you the pen. I simply adore random choices. Give me yours, Nacho. What punishment befits her? What? Does he really want me to decide what to do with a real person? Can I even save her? And does it matter what I choose? Everything here follows his whims anyways. But as long as I play the curious monkey, I have a chance to get out of here alive. Maybe I should just entertain him? Damn, what should I do? I think the craziest thing would be to spare her. No one would expect that. Turn her into the hat, a small one. The one who lived by a big hat shall become a small hat. The irony is so absurd, it's beautiful. So be it. Let her be a small cap of internal regret. She tried to get into my head, now she can barely cover it. A brilliant sentence. Let's see. Something's missing from this tale. You never told me about the monster itself. Dear, who cares about these monsters anyway? Insist. I do. If monsters are the muck, but I'm the pig, you see. How eloquent. Alright, I must admit, this was my first performance like this. Durian sounds a bit bewildered, it seems. Allow me to toss my mind up and see how it lands. You see, the monster was originally much more modest and less majestic. But we all have to start somewhere, right? Then my head suddenly became a bit crowded. First whispers, then arguments, then full-fledged discussions that had to be participated in, and involved inanimate objects. Guests in ajar doors, closets, even cookie jars, every container a potential foe, and I was surrounded by containers. To be fair, sometimes they told funny stories. But what was I afflicted with this curse? Why was I afflicted with this curse? Pondering it drives me mad, even more so. It seems the question is meant for me. Cursed areas. Did you touch a cursed artifact? Maybe some ring of yours? Dear, I'm afraid you've confused cause and effect. It is I who drives rings mad, not the other way around. Any poor innocent artifact I happen to touch might start screaming uncontrollably, or try to ask those around it about the meaning of their lives. No, I'm afraid it's a bit more banal. It's all about rotten blood. Too pure, I beg your pardon. My great-great-grandfather issued a decree forbidding death from old age, and a distant aunt believed a colony of sentient mold was living in her walls, claiming her inheritance. But I always thought I would be spared this fate. I had to be temporarily isolated to avoid embarrassing guests at royal balls with the young prince pointed at noble lords, saying, "Ha ha, the gnomes finally got out from under my bed." What a misfortune for the entire family, except for those in line for the throne before me. My death would have solved many problems for my family, and indeed many of my own problems too. I made a decision. We made it, to be precise. There was already a whole council of us by then. However, chaos had other plans. A god, a goddess, a cosmic clerical error. I don't know. Something ancient and terribly bored, found itself a new source of entertainment. It offered me a throne, my corner of reality to rule, where fragments of my mind would become the laws of the land. No more restrictions or pants for my subjects if I wished. My subjects at first, they disagreed, but then they came to terms, or their minds changed to fit the new realities. And here I am. A dramatic silence ensues. Perhaps I am the first being to hear this story in the centuries of his existence. I must choose my next words carefully. Will you give me a tip? I sympathize with you and your multiple personalities, so you're still in a cage. It must be rather lonely here. How can you just lock a family member in a tower? Thank you for the story. You're welcome, Nacho. To be honest, it wasn't great. I need to add more explosions. The shadows finally dissolve into nothingness. I just turned into a living being, into a hat, or rather became the catalyst for it. I wonder what kind of nightmares are warranted in such a case. I'm afraid royal duties await me. Our time is up. I shall send you back, Nacho. I rise from the chair. I squeeze my eyes shut. The light is blinding, even with my eyes closed. So unusual after all this darkness. The jar is full of money. It was all worth it. Greetings, organism. How is your work progressing? I see the first transaction was successful. Acceptable. This still does not save you from the threat of cleaning sanitary facilities, but it is a wonderful starting point for your entire tiny life. Let's see. The work is going well, sir. Excellent. Maintain this level of productivity. You may be rewarded with an additional 5-minute feeding break, for if you can find food, rejoice my generosity. Continue working. I am experiencing a positive emotional reaction. I am proud of you, and I will be even prouder if you acquire even more currency. Your tactic of a polite organism is clearly paying off. Yeah, let's not kiss ass. Goodbye, Mr. Manager. My mind departs from you, and the organic form follows. He slaps across the floor to his office. As soon as Bob's rhythmic wet slaps fade away, a deep silence descends on the station. One moment I'm in a surreal forest, dining on purple goo with a mad god. The next moment I'm being praised by a multi-eyed, tentacled monster. Maybe these are just my deathbed hallucinations. I'm going insane. Some part of me enjoy these mad adventures. I'm an adrenaline junkie. Disgusting. Now I have to deal with that too. In the midst of my contemplation, terrifying sounds emanate from my boss's office. Well, sadly, that's where I'm going to have to end this one, and we'll have to find out what those noises are next time. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, comment if you would have done anything different with the Mad God, I suppose. And yeah, check this game out as well. I'll leave the link to it in my description. Oh, we have a whole... I should have been saving a lot more. All right. Good to know. Well, we'll know this for next time. Bye-bye.